So
Pure radio gold. Isn't this the radio? Do they do the radio anymore?
do they do the radio? Let me see. Oh,
I hear
we have
Howard
our.
Stern started a podcast.
It says we're live. So, hey everyone, and welcome back to episode club. Today we're going to be, or tonight, sorry, we're going to be talking about Westworld season 3, episode 3, The Absence of Field. And joining me today is, of course, Johnny, but we also have special guest, AU Packmule. AU, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here with you because I haven't been on the live streams for a long time since we did Witcher, I think was the last one with Justin. And but this is a totally different season, a totally different show, and being on with you and Johnny is a real pleasure. So thanks for inviting me.
No problem at all. And Johnny, how are you doing today?
You know, I'm alive and I'm well. I may have the Gray Plague. I won't tell you. I'm going to pull a John Connington. I'm not going to be using social distancing. No, I shouldn't be talking about this. All fans are like, what's going on? No, I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on. So I thought it was fantastic to have AU on. Like the first guy to ever have me on YouTube. He's the man. Like, AU is awesome. And I appreciate him. He's really someone who helped me get this started. He actually gave me the confidence to make my own crappy videos. So I honestly appreciate that. For real. Oh, goodness.
So you're going to blame all this on me?
Basically, yes.
Oh, no.
All my bad behavior is your fault. And you got to accept that responsibility. Okay? It's your duty. Okay, what are we talking about here?
So you're saying that AU is responsible for every single live stream and every single video that you've ever done. That's a big, and tall order, but I feel like AU is also proud of what has. I can't speak for him, but I feel like he's proud of everything that you've done. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Can I break this and just ask AU how he feels about season 3? You liking it so far, AU?
Honestly, it's been a little downer for me. The first episode I really enjoyed. But after I started thinking about season 2 and how they used the 3-card Monty with us, it kind of made me start thinking this isn't the show that I thought it was. I don't want to watch a show that makes you not really know what's going on all the time. I'd like to know what I'm watching, you know. So it's been a challenge, but as far as the actors that they've brought in, I've really enjoyed, and also the storyline I've enjoyed. It's just the whole thing with Maeve was a little bit of a disappointment because they didn't really move the story along, and it was just another one of those let's see what happens with the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, see, here's my issue. The problem is Maeve's storyline going to be a simulation, a plan of what's to happen, right? And then you have a couple of different timelines going on here, and then Bernard and Stubbs are paddling across the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, I would agree with you. I think Justin brought this up too. They're using a lot of hard cuts, like stuff that worked inside the park that doesn't necessarily work as well outside the park in an open world. I think it's pretty good so far. The second episode, kind of agree with you. I didn't really dig that. Why does she have to go through the loops again? Why does she have to... we've already seen this over and over, right? Unless, basically what you're trying to set up is a simulation story.
Yeah.
Or this is just a really very slow start for Maeve, I guess. I could definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
There has to be some tie back to it, but that means they get cute, right? So, yeah, I like your assessment of you. I like it.
Yeah, it seems like from what this season was doing, it's catching you up and also making you think like what's going on. I do feel like Maeve. Yeah, I feel like I guess her storyline's gonna be very back of the season heavy, because of what she's apparently tasked to do. But I feel like it is almost like a simulation. I agree with both of what you're saying about this because it's tricky, and also because we also haven't seen the Man in Black yet, and it's hopefully he's showing up in episode 4 because that's what we're led to believe. Because he's better show up soon, or else all of his scenes in the preview for the season are kind of like, huh?
Well, I'd say half of episode 4 will probably be the Man in Black, Billy, or the McBoyle.
Jimmy Simpson, or you mean Ed Harris?
Oh yeah, I was watching The Stand the other day, and Ed Harris is a general named Billy in that movie. I thought that was, I don't know, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone there for just a second, I was like, well, what the hell's going on here?
You hate when you call me Billy.
Maybe that's why, he doesn't like that role. It's an interesting movie to watch now.
It's like, I hate
it's amazing how bad they are.
Really?
No, but this season for me does have a lot of potential. But I've noticed some things to give me pause. I think a lot of stuff can be misdirection, but how fancy they're going to get with it. We got to have this human storyline play out with Dolores, and we need to see that in the real world as far as I'm concerned. So if that ends up being a simulation, it'll kill a lot of things. Maeve probably doesn't need to be a simulation, but at some point you got to think one of these minds is going to get inside Rehoboam. That's where I'm going with this. So maybe we have another whole episode where Dolores or Maeve, or that's where Dolores and Maeve fight, is inside there. Who the hell knows? I do know in the previews we see Dolores get hooked up to a bunch of like tubes and stuff, or apparatuses, and maybe she's getting connected to Rehoboam. I got this theory that Sirach his consciousness is downloaded inside of there, and basically that he wants to create this paradise simulation, kind of like virtual Eden, but to where he can control it. Like it's his park. Humanity is his park, and he wants to take who he deems fit, possibly. Especially wanting to get all of these profiles of people. Maybe he's wanting to put them in the system. Maybe these profiles have a lot more information than Insight does. Hell, I don't know. But it all ties into the Immortality Project somehow. Whether that's
that's
physical.
how you guarantee success, right?
Yeah.
You simulate what you think will happen and then try to make that happen.
Yeah. The whole Rehoboam thing, which we delve into more in this episode about predictive technology and what they've done, is like almost scary, and it brings up that question. But before we go into deep diving into this episode, the chat, so we have Nancy T, who was here earlier, and then we have OTDA, Braavosi Broadcast, AK Fake Aria, AK Fayfire. Then we have some guy named House of the Conqueror, don't know who he is, as well as some
a real shitbag, that guy.
as well as some person named AU Packmule. I don't know who they are, but they're here today. As well as Danny McKay and Alicia Kingston. Some lady named Alicia Kingston's also here. But hey AK, and hope you feel better. But OTDA brings up that he liked this episode and that they needed the relationship building with Dolores and Caleb to make their actions matter to us later. And he also says he thought that Peter Abernathy's in Hale, but he also heard it could be Wyatt in Dolores and Dolores in Hale. So.
Oh, I think Wyatt's in Hale and Dolores is in Dolores, the original Dolores. Anyways, but you're going to have to watch my video for that. That'll be coming out tomorrow. I'll give you a couple more clues while we're going at this, though. Boom goes the dynamite. Okay, you can call me stupid, too. I kind of like it. It makes me hot.
Yeah. But, so I have a question, and you see, so Hale's character has developed and changed throughout the seasons, but to me it seems like this single episode provided much more information about her background than ever before. But Hale hasn't been the person we have always assumed she was. What element of her, quote, tragic backstory was the most intriguing, including, I guess, seemingly her cornerstone being Nathan, aka her son? So what was, like, the most intriguing part of her, the information that we got from this episode?
Well, I mean, Hale's not a heartless beast like we thought, you know. This humanizes her, right? And we see someone who possibly killed her get upset about this. Hey, you. You thought I was going to go on a long diatribe, but I'm trying to.
I did. I thought it was just going to never stop. No, like, I'm just kidding. So, I don't know that it really gave us a lot of connection because it's just with her son, which any mother would have that connection with her son. But I think the connection between her and her ex-husband or her baby's daddy, whatever you want to call it, I thought that told us just as much as the connection with her and Nathan. Just really strange how he really reacted to her, and I think that's what we're going to find with Hale in real life anyway. So
yeah, she was ruthless and what would you say? She was a go-getter, to say the least. Maybe a little sociopath. But, yeah, I think that really did say a lot. And he called her Charlie, so they're going and messing with our heads again, right? Is that Arnold's daughter? What the hell? I mean, I guess she's close to the right age, right? Mm-hmm. If we're looking at it. Not by what the actor's age is, but, oh, hell, I don't know. I'll get down this whole wormhole, but they're throwing that at us again.
Go with the Bernard Charlie thing.
I know, right? But they're throwing that at us again, so I don't know if you like that or not, AU. I'm sure you didn't appreciate that, did you?
Probably not.
That's all.
I think, so, the, quote, tragic backstory of how, I guess because I was thinking about this earlier, and it seems to beg the question of how long has she been away? Because she came into the show early season 1, and unless it's been only like 6 months or so since so she's been away for at least a significant period of time for a child that small. So, and when he goes, "Whoa, you're not my mommy."
I don't think she was in the park, but a few days. Was it a few days? Maybe a week? Wasn't a long amount of time, right, AU?
I'm trying to put together who you're talking about.
Oh, hell.
How long she's been in the park for.
She wasn't there in season 1, right?
She was banging Hector in season 1 when Teresa knocked on the door.
Oh, yeah.
Halfway through season 2. I thought that was 2. I'm sorry. For some reason or other, I thought that was 2. My bad. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so
totally caught me off guard there.
Yeah, so it's trying to figure out how long she's been away, and if he's like what, 7, 8 years old, still, I don't know. We're going down the rabbit hole.
Well, it's not even. It doesn't even matter with that. She's not there anyway, even when she's there, right? So that's right. Kind of the issue, either way. And he either doesn't recognize her or he just doesn't recognize. He wants old mommy back. Even the kids know, as she says, while choking a pedo.
I mean,
gosh.
I mean, yeah, and then I think it's also too because he almost feels like he has to share his mom with like a company that he doesn't even understand the concept about, because she spends more time with Delos Corporation than he does with her, and the fact that the school has to always call her to pick up her child is something else, but we don't have to talk about
So we call a deadbeat mom, okay? Let's move on. Charlie is a deadbeat mom. This is my question. So
Yes,
with
okay.
that, right, we see the issues that whoever's in hell, I don't know what to call it. We'll just call her hell, okay? That's her
hell.
name. Why wouldn't you call her hell? I know what y'all are thinking, okay? But let's assume, she's playing a role and she cannot be herself. How long do you play that role before you become that person? I mean, we've seen this happen with actors tragically all the time. Even like Jim Carrey, Man on the Moon, he got lost in 2 characters and never broke it the whole time and had problems after that movie. Great performance, though. Is this something that's happening to Hell?
I'd say so. Because there's that sequence with Dolores where she's like, or it's like rejecting me, or like rejecting the pearl or whatever with the circles and the lines. So it's like trying to peel herself open almost, but there could be a point, maybe a couple episodes from now, maybe in 2 episodes from now, where just her psychology or her mindset just breaks basically, and it's like can't handle having to, especially when we find out who it is and them having to act like they are her, because based off of that dialogue it seemed to like the person who is now within doesn't like her.
She learned a new song now, you know.
Well, isn't that a big factor as far as who would cut themselves, as far as who is in Hale?
Yeah, because it's trying to figure.
That's not a behavior that you would pick up from a normal host.
No.
Well, I'll say that while Dolores was trying to find the center of the maze, and we can argue Hale's trying to do something similar, but now she's dealing with 2 different personalities she's trying to find a balance for. Dolores was pulling at the thread. Now she didn't, maybe she did this in the past because it was kind of a memory or a flash, so we didn't see her actually do it. But when she was with the, what do you want to call it, the tarot card reader, she starts pulling at the thread. Hale has a needle and is basically sewing or carving what looks like divergence patterns from Rehoboam on her body as well, if you check them out. It's kind of weird. I think this ties into the frequency, but as far as what other hosts hurt themselves, did Clementine hurt herself?
I don't think so.
Who hurt them? Well, I mean, Teddy hurt themselves all the time, to get away from Dolores, but still, I think that'd be a bad move to bring Teddy back like that. I think that's
He
a
put a
bad
gun to
move.
his head to get away from her, of course.
And then I'm going to bring you back again. You are mine. But Dolores is fighting for free will, like, you belong to me. That seems like it could only be a part of herself.
Yeah.
The part of herself that she had no control over. The Ford narrative, which was Wyatt. And now this was based off of something she did in the past, but this wasn't her personality. This is something that Ford exacerbated. It would seem to me like she would want to purge herself of that narrative, but it's a part of herself, and she probably couldn't come to terms with killing a part of herself, so she makes a copy. I don't know. That's
Why
that's my
couldn't she make
tenfold
2
theory.
copies?
She could make 40 billion copies. We could have an army of Bernards in the next few episodes.
We could have 2 Hales, though. I mean, one is the black dressed. Why am I'm totally skipping out here. who's the anyways, you could have the white young Dolores in Hale. That's the girl. That's why I think she's cutting herself, and that's why she has that crying episode, because she's the childlike Dolores, and then she's the dark dressed Wyatt, when she has to be mean, and that's why they showed her with the pedophile.
Me?
It might. Well, the thing is, Dolores made that version of Hell, and then we see after she cuts herself talking to Dolores. Now, this could all be in her damn head. You know what I mean? This could be in her head.
I'm not trying to cut you off there, but I did want to clarify. Bernard made that body and put Dolores in it.
Yes, but it seems like I don't know if Dolores wouldn't make a new body, but somehow I guess Dolores was made again, and then put herself in herself, and then what goes in? Oh my God! It could just be two copies of Dolores. That's where I'm going with it. It's the easiest thing, but for my narrative in the video, you'll like the Wyatt. Because there's a lot of things, like the little clues that possibly point to it, but either way, it's probably just a copy, like you're saying. Hey, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I had to go one way or the other in my video.
I'm just going to bully you into believing what I'm saying. That's all.
No, I refuse it. But it would make sense. You know, it could even be the copy of Dolores before all that. I mean, Dolores is how she remembered herself. But the weird thing is, if she wakes up, she asks her if she remembers who she is. So, did she even have time to give a fidelity test? Does a fidelity test even matter anymore, AU?
Exactly.
Like, see, that's something that I have a problem with.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out. Maybe that's why she's self-destructive and can't cope with who she, there was no fidelity testing done.
I don't know.
But it did have 3 months, I guess, right?
Yeah.
To do something.
True. And why else would she need to cuddle with Hale if Hale was, Wyatt?
Yeah.
Well, that would be Hale would still be her. I mean, Wyatt's a part of her. So it would still be a part of herself that helped her get out of the park. It partly could be her hero. There's some weird psychological things that could be going on there. And I didn't find it sexual as more of a...
Yeah.
Oh, no, it definitely wasn't sexual.
Just a genuine affection, but like a weird... It wasn't like Abernathy and Dolores,
No.
Right.
That seems odd. And Teddy, yeah, she seemed kind of meek at first like that, but this isn't Teddy. There's not a dark side like that to Teddy, not without, a little programming from Dolores, So, yeah, there's not many people it could be unless they're going to throw us a curveball. And, yeah, it's Armistice, just joking. But
imagine it is, and you're just like, what the hell?
I've seen people, honestly, the way she's monotone talks, like, I got to figure out, because you could figure out the cadence. When Hale was Dolores in season 2, you could tell, like, even with her hand gestures, they would do the same things. This Hale's got me thrown off, and the only thing I could think of is the cold, calculating Wyatt. That's the only thing I can think of with the mannerisms and stuff. Whatever. There were 2 Doloreses. Clearly, from the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, and it almost seems like is that you, Teddy, or whatever from the promo or whatever, it's just a red herring almost at this point. Because if it is Teddy, then it's like, this isn't Teddy.
If anybody's Teddy, is Caleb, and I will break my TV if that happens, and then I'll write a strongly worded letter to Nolan and Joy and HBO and all of the affiliates. And I said, it's only my fault, though. I decided to watch it.
Well, if this episode didn't convince you that Caleb is a host and that is his backstory, then I have no hope
all
for
humans
any
have
of
a
you.
backstory, AU.
All what?
All humans have a backstory. That's how we become who we are. That's the whole
All
point of it.
hosts have a backstory, an
So do all
anchor.
humans. You have a childhood and a past. You prove to me it's
Yeah,
real.
but
You're a host.
I
are
didn't
you?
vomit. I didn't vomit strawberry shake on my sneakers.
Oh yeah. See that right there. That is the strongest piece of evidence I've ever heard. I I really hope he's a human that's going through the same struggle that Dolores was going through in season 1. That's what I hope. Now, would I be lying to you if I said I didn't see any signs that he was a host? Yes, I would be lying very, very horribly bad because there are signs there that bother the hell out of me. But please no. Please no, AU. We need a human that's decent.
It's like having police officers with their sirens. Oh, I don't see anything. What is that?
Oh, Sasuke says that she wants somebody to be Lawrence. What?
Sasuke says Caleb is a human. She disagrees.
Thank you, Sasuke. All right, Caleb is human. All right, humans are cool. Hey, you just like I don't want any humans in the story. That's all.
No, I just think that's like he's the Insight's version of the host, as opposed to Ford's version of a host.
Well, see, I think me and you were going back and forth when I was on the stream a week or two ago, and I was talking about, and I got you on here. So he was a soldier. He could have been expendable, right? You know, he's on his last leg. Hey, do you sign this paper and we'll try to? Well, it's a Deadpool situation, right? Sign this paper, and we'll give you. You can try to be immortal, or we're gonna do this experiment to try to save you. And then that's I could get down with that, because that still is him being human, and then, because really here what we have here is we've got the, what they're putting across to me is that the hosts and humans there's not really much difference, except the hosts are smarter, just because of the processing power. There's not really any difference there, You got your good ones, you got your bad ones, and you got your Wyatts, you got your Sirachs, who, that guy wants to be immortal if I've ever seen anyone want to be immortal. Is he going to be really that dark cloak victim of this season? I think that's a big question, because Hax thinks he could be some sort of good guy in the end, kind of like Ford. I could see them going somewhat that way, but I think Sirach's motivations are not necessarily. They're more for God-like status. I think we thought Ford wanted to be a god and continue and all of this, but I think we're going to get the real version of that this time. Who knows?
Like Sasuke mentioned,
a girl can dream.
A girl can dream. That he could be like James Delos, where it was like the human brain, but within like the body. So, I mean, yeah, that's possible. Like because again, he was in Russia. Well, because the Civil War for Russia started in 2037 or something like that. And I guess he was there. So unless this war raged on for however many years, or did covert ops for however many years, he looks too young.
Peter Griffin says he thinks Sirach is Caleb.
I mean, that would be one heck of a mind mess. But Nancy T asked the question of, can hosts have the wafer thing in the drip? I don't know.
They're not Catholic, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that begged the question: does Charlotte have to have one of those, or is it just the dirty peasants who are being oppressed by King Arthur? Is that the only ones that are? Is that the only ones that have to have the mouth implant? Do you sign up for this insight thing? I mean, we know that Caleb had his turned off, and they don't apparently make you turn it back on. His doctor recognized it, but yeah, it's a weird thing. It seems to be like voluntary enslavement of the human race. That's we've seen that happen. It's happening right now with Google, okay, and all the other stuff.
Johnny, did you see Sasuke's comment about committing suicide? If
Which
he was
one? Who
a
committed
host,
suicide?
If he was a host, why would he need to commit suicide?
Who?
Caleb.
Caleb.
He didn't commit suicide. He got shot in the
but
war or
because-
something.
Predicted to.
Cause
Oh, later, yeah. Oh, yeah, the predictive thing. Dolores could just be bullshitting. Who knows? She could have already wrote that story for him if he is a host and he is Teddy. But no, I still think
Imagine.
he's a human. AU's trying to rile me up. I know what you're doing, AU. I see you.
No, but like imagine he's just like, imagine that is Dolores and she is writing Teddy's story, and then it's like, no, you don't get to die now. You get to die in 10 to 12 years. And then it's like this whole.
Well, she did say call Caleb a good man, and she said that to Teddy too. So, boom, there's all the evidence you need. Caleb is Teddy. I'm just kidding.
Then,
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Yeah, hope you'll learn the lesson. Okay.
exactly.
That's what you get for having me on the show.
But
AU just cuts through all the BS and just gets to the heart of the situation.
this is who this is. This is who this is. Okay, we're good. Yeah, Caleb has one, but that was scary when they like put the shocked the mouthpiece, and then he's just like, his heart rate goes like 200 over 90 or whatever it was, and yeah, it's like, geez, the fact that a simple piece of metal in your mouth can do all that craziness.
Well, I
And-
think they put his heartbeat up through the device, right?
Could be.
Yeah, through his host pad, the little
Right,
host programming
right.
pad, right?
Oh, bad. But his iPad.
Pretty obvious. Yeah.
Or is it iPad because of insight? Dun, dun.
The sight pad. No, see, this too is interesting because we didn't know how far it went, right? Do you have to have the wafer? Apparently not. They can do whatever they want if they tap right into it. And I'll just throw this out to y'all because I'm going to answer this question later.
Yes.
You think Maeve would be able to tap into that?
That means something different to me than it does for you, I think.
Well, I
Can she
mean,
tap into what?
not tapping that, tapping into the drip on the sippy
I
towel.
don't know.
How'd I tell you?
If I think it's a different frequency. She's on 2.4 and Caleb's on 5.0.
Well,
It could be the other people.
who knows?
The people that are.
Yeah, Caleb turns his off, and Caleb's able to stab Maeve in the end because she can't sense him. And she's like, "Teddy, is that you?" And he'd be like, "Yes, I've been faking it. I fake killed myself just so I could kill you, Maeve." Right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
I went to the Valley Beyond. I came back, and just to kill you for Dolores. Maybe that's how that ends. Be just so
And then he
dumb.
walks out onto the bridge and shoots himself again.
Just, exactly.
So Sasuke wants to know if Ford is still in the picture. What do you
I
think?
think they wrote off Anthony Hopkins. I think. Because I
Well,
think I
that
read.
red pearl, which is Bernard's. I don't know. We have to think that Bernard was definitely supposedly successful in, erasing him. But is there a part of Ford left somewhere in the forge or in a backup
Maeve.
system? Maybe. Or Maeve, right?
Maeve is probably the biggest candidate.
I thought I read somewhere that they are not having at least Anthony Hopkins show up because they've let go of Jimmy Simpson, who was young William. And now they're just having Ed Harris just be around. So I think because he was only around for 2, or at least contracted for 2 seasons. That's why.
Yeah, I would like that if Ford didn't come back. As much as I love Anthony Hopkins playing Ford.
He did his part.
So speaking of the speckled metal ball, that is Bernard.
Yes.
If Bernard is in Westworld with sorry guys, my brain is just absolutely
Westworld
fried.
was with Stubbs.
Stubbs.
Yeah, with
Stubbs.
Stubbs.
I'm almost fried too.
Then why is the ball on the coffee table at the hotel?
Well, that's the different timeline, right? When we see
Yeah.
Hale, Bernard wake up with Hale there, I think this is where we get to the 3 months,
Yes. Because
possibly,
yeah, that's
because
what
we still gotta
that that's
have her make Bernard, and that's where we're coming into the few different timelines. Is the Caleb and Dolores timeline ahead as well? That's another question too, and something we will have to figure out, or that will come together. But I do think later is when we're going to see Maeve too. Maeve may be a 5-year time jump when she gets out.
that's
We
what
know
I
we're
was
going to see
thinking.
it at some point. And Sirach already talks about how we already lost the war. Could be between simulation, but it could be there's already some devastation. We see a huge explosion happens, at least in Westworld, if not somewhere else. And we've all seen the pictures of the promos. It looks like some devastation from John Connor's days. And, I think something's really going to happen. Sirach is desperate to get a host to try to help him. So, yeah, and we see him in that blimp too. Could be he might not be able to go down to the ground anymore. So I don't know.
I I think I think it's the first scene we see of Dolores and Hale is pretty much immediately after the events of season 2 finale. After she's gotten to, I guess, California to San Francisco or whatever, and then did all of that, and then because there is that time discrepancy kind of that we talked about, I think last week or in the first week, Johnny, with the because Bernard only counting for 100 days, but we don't know if it was like Dolores started his like the development of the pearl and then the body immediately afterwards, or it was delayed, and then he's only accounting for 100 days, thinking that it's enough time, but it could be like
He only has
extended
100 days of memory,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it could have been longer. But also, I thought we saw a wanted poster with like
Yes.
the date when it happened, and it Bernard conveyed it. I know we got 3 months in another part, but I feel like in the Bernard scenes, it was showing it was about 3 months. But maybe that's just because we're thinking 100 days. They could be throwing us off with the timeline. I saw you trying to say something a minute ago. Hey, you do it.
No, I was just gonna ask, since we're talking about who's Martin Connell's the Tommy Flanagan character?
That's
That's
Angela. We don't
obviously
even
a
have to.
host.
It's obviously Angela. Has to be.
Has to
Big
be.
boy.
I was. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
that's
unless
the
it's
easiest one, right?
unless it's another Dolores.
Yeah, but it seems
Well,
like it's Angela.
please no. I'd like
We're gonna
Martin
have all
Connell to be the
Doloreses
sassy Angela.
in this new world.
Only Dolores.
Hey, maybe he'll start a biker gang. Who
of
knows?
herself.
The Doloreses.
Yeah, well, Tommy Flanagan was once in was once in Sons of Anarchy, so he's probably used to the biker lifestyle. But yeah, I do think it's Angela, and yeah, it seems like because in some of the marketing, at least on Twitter, they would do "Welcome to 2058," so there is that time jump. So I feel like because in this episode they talk about how one of Maeve's pearls was taken, so I assume that the sequence with Hale when she's in the office during that is like the most, or one of the near the current timeline compared to like the other scenes that we saw earlier, and then some of the other stuff. It's like it flip flops. This show's flip flopping again, and it's really bothering me. But I think it has to culminate with the Maeve and Dolores fight as like the most nearest to the present as it can be.
It's like Uma Thurman versus Lucy Liu in Kill Bill.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they did kind of look like they were wearing interesting outfits in the promo. They're like,
Well, of course they're interesting. It's an HBO show.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, of course we get Caleb's storyline. I thought we all kind of, or in the very, very beginning, I think, or at least from my perspective, I thought that his quote tragic, or part of his tragic backstory was due to his time as a vet, or not in the military, but it was because his mom forgot him at a diner called, I think it was like Ocean View or something the diner was called. And poor Caleb. I mean, I was like kind of sad when he was like, how do you know all of this information? And it like begs the question of like big data knows everything. And then of course we find out later that that Insight has predicted that this is all that his life is worth. So it's almost that question of knowing that information. It relates to that moral question of, do you want to know when you want to die situation, basically. And you're just like, because now he kind of knows that statistically he has 10 to 12 years and he's most likely going to die by suicide. So, but of course he's like, I'm not going to do
not
that.
anymore. He made a choice, right?
Yeah.
Finally made that first choice. Like when Dolores picked up the gun and shot Rebus. Poor Rebus.
Oh, jeez.
Oh yeah, if you like Peggy Bundy sauce, okay, you'll like Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Peggy Bundy. Oh, Jesus.
That's a dumpster fire.
That show. Like, for when it was on, it was pretty good, but then the end just was like, what? Like,
It's so hard to conclude the show.
yeah, like when people started killing people that they like liked, and it was like, ah, Jesus Christ. But yeah,
Don't bring Jesus into this, okay? Let's keep going.
oh yeah,
He's the host.
Jesus.
Oh goodness.
Jesus. Everybody's the host. It's like that Oprah thing. If you're a host, you're a host.
You get a car? Okay. Get us back on track.
So we also see that clearly technology is or people are clearly very reliant on technology, up to the fact like the EMTs don't even know what to do. Like they're just not even trying to give Dolores anything. They're like, we have to wait until the computer figures out her prognosis. It's like, are we that dumb that not dumb, but like is like the
Caleb gave her some blood.
I know. Yeah, which I know you wanted to talk about the whole blood.
No, I don't want to talk about it. Mm-mm.
You don't want to talk about it? Oh,
what you think about that blood he gave to her? Think that affected her whatsoever? Was she playing possum the whole time?
The whole time.
Is she T2?
She's just there to get that host, man.
Isn't there an easier way? That's the question, right?
When did he start going after Dolores or caring about any other human being other than his mom? I mean, it wasn't until Dolores got shot and he saw Dolores in the plane. That was it.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
definitely Teddy, right? He's just delusions of grandeur. He's flashing gunshot wounds out of nowhere that just come forming up out of his head. Yeah.
Speaking
this
of
is a
technology,
simulation.
how did you like? I didn't hear you say anything about Beast Mode and his Mood Ring T-shirt.
Oh, his
That was
moose
pretty
shirt.
cool.
I dug the moose shirt, the mood shirt. But they did exactly what they needed to do with Beast Mode, not give him that many lines, and he
Exactly.
did really well. He did really well.
I loved it, man.
I didn't.
Isn't he
I
coming
think
back?
we may see him again, because Caleb needs some fools on the underground he can trust, and that's about all the people that we've seen of the underground that we know. So we're gonna get them back.
Yeah, they are coming.
Yeah, and I'm digging that. We got a feel for the pulse of humanity a little more. That's why Caleb better be human, or else this is just pointless. But
Hey, man,
Bam.
tell him you're all right. I'm not
I'm okay.
all right.
Yeah. But then when he's like staring at the woman in the ATM machine, and then like get over here. That's funny. But yeah, I feel like that they're bringing him back because there's a scene, at least in the preview for the season, where it's Dolores, Caleb, and then the two in the back. So they're part of his like squad or whatever. For when they join forces.
I'm getting political now.
Squad or whatever. But I think that yeah, because well, she did also tell Caleb that she can give him as much money as he wants and he could run away. But then I was like, where's he gonna run away to if the whole world is controlled by Insight? It's like they're gonna find him some way somehow. But
On IMDb, they don't even list him as one of the cast members. So that's so terrible.
now we have to write to IMDb.
The humanity.
Right.
Oh, the humanity.
Give
The injustice of it all.
Yeah, it's like, nope. Needs to kind of take care of that. But, oh yeah. Hey, how did you feel about Drogon and D&D showing up in the last episode?
Can you please stop with the Game of Thrones comments? Oh, yeah, I just want to strangle. I have no opinion.
What, you don't feel sorry for him or nothing? I mean, they could have. What they could have done is have one of them be eaten. I would have accepted that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not even both, just one, or like take a leg off. Something's got to happen here.
Revenge.
Well, probably Weiss because Weiss was the closer one to Drogon, trying to rip off his wing with a chainsaw or whatever. So yeah. Phil H. Oh no, that scene didn't happen. It doesn't exist. Yeah.
They pulled Phil out of the woodwork too with that one. What's up, Phil?
It's like a la 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 la. Yeah. But Medieval World was quite interesting, even though I don't know if we're gonna see much of it, but who knows?
Nah, we ain't seen no more of the park except they get blown up, in my opinion.
And was it really a world in Westworld? Because
Well,
it
Delos
was all
emailed
simulation,
me.
right?
Delos emailed me and said, "Welcome
Yeah.
to War World." So
You and
it was
Justin
a
both,
simulation,
right? 'Cause
but
they
it is a
never
no.
lie.
I did. Don't make me screen share this email that Delos really sent me because you can sign up at their website to get sent pertinent information. Don't make me pull this up. You know how to get, see. AU just knows how to work me. Damn it, this makes for good streaming, but it's got my nerves frazzled. But no, it is a park, but we didn't see it. You know, we saw a simulation of it, right? You know, what the extent of it is. I feel like one town could be World War II Germany, but then you could go to another town, for instance, from Sweetwater to Escalante. Then you can go to another town and Civil War town. I think that would be really cool because it is War World. And I think they would play off more than just one world. But who doesn't want to go kill some Nazis, I guess, right? That was the safest way they could go, I'm assuming.
Makes sense.
You know, can't really argue with killing Nazis. I mean, you can, but
It's so politically
it's not going to
correct.
do you any good. Yeah.
And then Medieval World which is like, do they really want to put Westeros in Delos? I don't think so, but that'd be kind of stupid. But then it'd make you go, when you look at the show, of like how they just went rogue in the last season. It's like they went off script.
Good question, Danny.
Danny McKay, Dolores, or Caleb and Dolores on a pier at sunset, and there were only 8 people on the pier and no one on the beach. Where are the people? They're
Dead? They got the Rona. They got the Rona, Danny.
They got the
They're
Rona.
practicing social distancing in the future, obviously. I
Yep.
do not get that. See, I'm being such a smartass. Forgive me for being a smartass tonight. I'm very tired, but
The Rona.
no, I think that is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Y'all say I'm cutting people
I,
off left and right.
I think, yeah, well, it's probably because, it could be because it's a mirage or whatever simulation, but it also could be just because people just didn't want to be at the beach at sunset for some stupid reason in California. Um, but who knows? Probably everybody's like, clear them off the beach or whatever for the filming. So that's okay. If they had filmed that scene later than they probably did, they would have known that the backlash and cut the scene. Probably. They'd just been like, nope, can't do that now. Yeah. But who knows?
Danny loved you.
Yeah.
Sure you do, Danny. Clarissa Thompson. Hey, I just had to say hey to you.
Hey, Clarissa.
Yeah, Danny, you know. I'd F me.
You're in quarantine, I'm sure. That's
I haven't seen a person in years. I think, and I'm in solitary confinement, and I'm a little insane. So I talk to myself, or as I call him, Smeagol, and we just kind of we keep each other company.
Will
Eat
you?
fish and
precious.
bugs. Anyways, the fish.
Well, you did. Well, you did go. Well, you did break from solitary confinement to go to Con of Thrones. So you can't say that.
Yeah. Well, don't remind me of Nashville. Just keep going. That hot, sweaty, oppressive place.
Wait to Orlando.
I know. If they even
That's
still
what it
have
If there
it.
is one.
That's going to be pure hell.
Exactly. If
I don't
even,
know if I want to get that close to like hundreds of people anymore.
Yeah.
After that. I get
Yeah.
the cooties, man. I don't know. I have to think about it.
Hopefully.
I'll stay on the
Roman-
outskirts and just hang out in the park with the hobos while y'all go up in the car and y'all bring me some food and stuff. What am I talking about?
I don't know.
I'm gonna shut up now.
Did you notice how far Charlotte had to walk to get to her meeting? What? Did she walk? No, she probably took like one of those car things, right? A non-drop.
No, wait.
From the plane, you mean?
I guess so. That's Phil's question. How far Charlotte had to walk to get to her meeting? Oh. So that answers the question. Back to the Future was wrong. No hoverboards.
Yeah,
I mean,
they tried to make hoverboards already. It did not work out too well.
yeah, because everybody falls over. I mean, yeah.
It's too bad they didn't have her ride the riot tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no segways in the
stairs.
future either. Have y'all noticed that?
No, they have the weird style motorcycle, and then those driverless cars, and then the helicopter meets airplane things. That's about it. And or as Sasuke says, personal drones. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the fact that they are so scared that Insight has 38%, and then whatever the percentage is to everybody else, they're like, you can't have this, like, because we all know that 51% is majority share, so they're all scared that they're gonna lose the technology. But it's like, well, you've already lost it because they already have the information. So I don't know.
Are we talking about the creepy tender thing?
Yeah, where it's like where the scale of how Insight or Rehoboam owns 38%. The other companies that they didn't need to mention own another percentage, and then Delos has the other percentage.
All right, so you just made that like a confusing math problem. So I'm just gonna say that Ciroc had made some dealings 2 decades ago, right? And then apparently there's people been buying up shell companies and placing stock in the system, and it's growing. It's going to overtake it because the rest of Delos is bankrupt or something like that. Anyways, yeah, Hell the Betrayer, right?
Yeah.
That ties into that as well. And Sirach has been trying to get in good with Insight for a while now. My theory is that Logan wanted to pull away from Daddy and made a deal with Sirach at some point. Or Billy, more than likely. William got into some dealings with him at some point. Because there was a transaction made in the past. I find that to be one of the most important things that's said about it in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But, if it is, we're not going to see young William. Go ahead, Ayu.
No, I was going to say, remember when Logan and Billy met Angela for the first time? They were there with several people lined up, to meet and get introduced to automation and what the future was going to hold. So I don't see any reason why Sirach wouldn't have been one of those people.
But it was stuck in Delos itself, and not Westworld.
Say that again?
I don't know if it was stuck in Delos itself, but not Westworld. But I could see him trying to get in there at that time too.
But who bought
Good point.
into Westworld? Delos, right?
Yeah, and they could have made a deal at the same time with each other. It would make sense too, because Delos Robotics is a big thing. It's not just an entertainment company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because
Making me think too hard.
George had the Delos logo on his body armor before he got pushed off the ledge to die after trying to save his friend from some hoodlums. Rest in peace, George, the robot that only had like 5 minutes screen time. But what was I going to say? Yeah, they've developed the robots, and there's the behind the scenes footage that they have of how they make the robot, or how they design the robots, and they're like, we gotta make them look different than other robots, and it's like, well, that's a design thing and not I think of like aesthetics rather than just functionality, which I mean makes sense, because I thought the riot control robots kind of looked like a Transformers, which was kind of funny when they like had all the pieces and then they meshed together. It's like, it looks like Transformers. And we got and it was interesting because the Saudis didn't want to buy it because of what happened in the park. So everybody's starting to know about what happened in the park, and it's affecting business in a bad way. But yeah, there's no fighting in the chat about what happened to George. Oh Jesus!
I was just making the case that George is just a product of natural selection. The dumb ones. He's like a Lemmy-Winks. He just jumps off the cliff. Basically it. I did feel bad for George. I mean, kind of.
Really? Why that?
A little bit. Why?
Because Caleb cares.
George. Maybe that's it. Or maybe
human.
It's just the fact that the robot's in a humanoid shape, and it's natural for humans to feel empathy towards things that they're familiar with.
Towards inanimate objects.
It wasn't inanimate though.
The vacuum.
It was
cleaner.
Animated as it was falling off of
My paintbrush.
Yes, Lemmy-Winks. Oh no, not that. I can't remember. No, oh, that is the hamster. But there is also, I can't remember the name of the animals. They're little like rodent things that'll commit mass suicide together. It's a real thing.
Lemmings.
Lemmings, that's it. No wonder I called it Lemmy-Winks. Oh man.
That's what they call them in Alabama. Just to let you know.
Robert Redford. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I need to shut up for a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, George, yeah, because that's the case. As George went to robot heaven with Harriet from the last episode. I mean, yes. Poor George. And then George also broke himself out of his chains to save his friend. Very true. But also, Caleb.
Confirmation Caleb is the host again. Oh, God.
I can imagine that's it. It's like.
Why else would he care about a robot?
I know, right?
Damn it.
Darn it.
It's his brother, man. Come on.
It's brother named George.
I am not having a good time right now.
Or is that like also another nod to George R. Martin? Because it's like, well, it just fall off.
Oh, no.
Just like.
Dun, dun, dun. That was stone cold right there.
Yeah.
Cold-blooded.
Well, because they didn't kill off David and Dan, so they had to kill off the robot that was named George. So it's like.
Mackenzie just.
I bet they did that on purpose, too.
Exactly.
Damn. Next episode, George dies right after we see Dan and Dave. I mean, that's literally what happened to George's career after Dan and Dave ruined it.
Ruined the TV show.
I can't even talk right now.
It all means, what is it? Sasuke. It all means that George was somehow Bluetooth linked to Caleb's chip. Exactly. His drip was connected.
Why would you think that?
George.
We don't have Bluetooth in the future. That's just inferior technology. I'm just kidding. No, that's probably you do know I'm joking this whole time. I'm being very sarcastic.
Oh, I know.
I think Sasuke hadn't figured it out yet, though. Me and Sasuke have this rivalry that it's really fun. She puts me in my place all the time.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Anyone else think that Dolores was controlling him? Who, the robot, George? It's possible.
No.
I mean, if she could control a scooter from hundreds of yards away or miles away, then she can control a robot that's sitting on the ground, I guess. Or control a hotel that's like, she negotiates with the hotel, talking to it to give her a hotel room.
I think that's the network. I don't think that controlling the motorcycle was Dolores, although Dolores hacked into the network, but theoretically it's just the network, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be Rehoboam. And maybe one reason I say that is because it seems like the call that Hale made to Sirach with the signals, for one, it seems like a secure line, and almost like a code you have to put in, and probably one of the safest things you can go through would be that, and you would think Sirach would use that. Now, and we do know that someone has accessed Rehoboam. The only one that it points to right now is Dolores. You know, she's having all this control. She can't fully access it, but she can access enough of it, seemingly. But I mean, she knows all of Caleb's life, so she's got enough control in there. And this is where she has the one up on Sarek right now. This is why he has to go and call Maeve to the rescue here. Hopefully, she's not probably going to have her powers back, right? I think that's one thing we can get from episode 2 that. Mm-hmm. She probably won't have her powers. If she does, that's why I think they're going to supplement that power with her being able to control the humans with the drips and whatnot. But it's almost too much of a superpower if she goes out there with it in the real world now, because the fight with Dolores wouldn't be anything, unless. Her power, I don't know. I'm gonna get down a wormhole. Somebody take it away from me.
Well, Sasuke wants to make you continue down a wormhole by saying, did anybody notice Hale's son is named Nathan Hale? Recognize that the name as a Revolutionary War patriot?
Yeah, he was hung during the war.
Well, whether or not he had a big package, I don't know. But he probably was hanged. Because Sasuke has already corrected me on that a bunch of times.
Did I say he was
I had
hung?
to do it before she did it. Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry. I'm not that old. I don't remember. Sorry.
I thought, yeah. Phillips, yeah, spy. Does that? Oh man, what could that mean about little Nathan? It just basically points toward Hale being the spy, right? Don't you think? I think it's more toward a nod toward that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's Caleb that's the spy.
Oh, see, come on, hey,
Because,
what the hell are you doing, man? You gotta
I mean, if you're
elaborate.
looking at the biblical Caleb, he was the spy that went into Israel and then reported back to Moses.
But he could end up being the spy for the host, though, too, right? Maybe. But I see what
Caleb,
you're saying. I like that.
yeah. I think Caleb is the spy going into the host, which is Dolores.
And that goes back to Sirach being Caleb. Isn't that what you said earlier?
Connected to
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Sirach,
what
yeah.
that's what the chat
That's the
said.
connection.
Okay. Yeah. He's carrying around a lot of guilt. But he wouldn't even know it if he was programmed for this to happen. Just if he was this hybrid host or just a host, right? Oh
Yes.
my gosh, AU.
Whatever you do, don't hung your laundry. Apparently, hanging the laundry is better.
Oh yeah.
Having the laundry hanged, I guess.
I guess hung laundry would just be a bunch of big crotched underwear, right?
I think they do that in Alabama.
Yeah, they do. We hang it on the power lines, get a little zap.
But yeah, it's like, but now anyway, the child has now a golden retriever, so to now go in a large dog to now be in a penthouse apartment. Good idea. With that one, but again, gotta kill the owner, because again, people like that shouldn't have animals.
Pet it slowly.
Oh Jesus, that was so
Yeah,
cringy.
Westworld is
That was the
huge on the
creepiest thing,
Christianity
wasn't it?
reference.
Yeah. It's like, especially when it's like that type of the tone in the voice too. It's like, oh god.
Nice and soft.
I was like, oh god. I was like, oh Jesus. Because especially because it was after. It was actually Tuesday.
I feel like we're having too much fun with this.
Well, this was an up and down episode. So let Dolores people.
Let the Loris people go. I don't know. I know that was horrible, so you can go ahead and bash me. I know I can't sing. Thank you. So Raucous. So where does
Too
Maeve
sexy.
fit into
That's the
this?
song that you need to sing.
Maeve is the burning bush. That's it.
Wow.
I'm such an a-hole.
I wasn't expecting that.
Oh gee.
Well, that's me just trying to think on the fly. It never turns out well. It never does.
Get it on the fly.
Dolores.
Oh, Dolores is frequently preceded by the name Maria. Marie. Yeah, Brooks and Dunn, the Spanish form of Mary. Or one may even bear the entirety of the title. So, are you talking about virgin birth here? And is Charlotte Hill Dolores' baby? Is this what's happening?
So then that makes
And
Charlotte.
then,
Jesus Christ.
oh man. So wait. Oh, I think we're getting into blasphemous territory here, though.
No such thing on Westworld. It's all open for interpretation.
It's got the Clarissa.
It does make you want to think of why they used the mother and child in season 2
Yes.
as much as they did.
Yeah, and the opening for the thing. Yeah, I was wondering that because all of the things have meaning. Like the first season had that, the second season had the other thing, and then the only human thing that we see is the two people in the ocean separating their hands. So who knows? But
Has any? I'm sorry, I came in so late. Hi,
No.
everybody.
Hello.
Have we already discussed who we think Charlotte Hale is?
No, we never thought of that.
You hadn't. My theory is it's Wyatt, the Wyatt persona, that she had to get rid of rid of, but couldn't kill a part of herself. Blah blah blah. Anyways, go ahead though.
Yeah, what do you think, Clarissa?
You know what? With the self-mutilation and stuff, I think it's Clementine.
That'd be interesting.
Elaborate.
What's the connection between Clementine and Dolores? Being that she owns her.
Like a piece of property.
True, that's true. Because I was thinking about that as well, and I was like, is it Teddy?
Maybe.
Because your mind could mean more than just like I own you.
You belong to me. So it is cryptic. If it is Teddy, she is a horrible person, even more so
I know,
than
right?
she used to be. A man kills himself to get away from you. You have to just accept that, okay?
And then you send
You're
him to
acting
paradise.
just like William.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I get this feeling, and you know what? Even when they showed Charlotte Hale at the end, I just got a feeling it was Clementine, right from even from the end of season 2, when we first saw that there was a Charlotte Hale as well as Dolores. And I know that Dolores, some people have been saying that maybe it's Dolores that is in her, but even in that conversation specifically, Charlotte looks at Dolores and says, "Why can't I be myself like you?" So Dolores is Dolores, I think.
That's a big...
That's pretty deep. Dolores is Dolores. Wow.
Dolores is Dolores, man.
Oh, no. I never thought about that. Like, that's why we'll be saying that at the end. It's like, when
I was smoking this big fat bowl, and I was like, Dolores is Dolores. Profound revelations.
My theory is that Dolores is made a version of her as a child in Charlotte, and that's the white. That's what you see as white when she's dressed in white. And then
pretty
so racist.
And then when she's dressed in black, that's her as Wyatt. So there's basically 3 different Doloreses.
Holy. Oh my gosh.
You smoked a bigger bowl than I did.
Well, look, I think, okay, here's my simple explanation, Clarissa. Ford put the Wyatt narrative into Dolores. She even talks about having 2 sides of herself in season 2.
Right.
But this was for the sole purpose for her to be able to escape and do what she was supposed to do. She doesn't need that anymore, and she knows that's something that she can't necessarily control because it is a program that a human put into her. I say she extracted that and put it into a pearl to make Hale. She couldn't kill herself. She couldn't kill that part of her because basically it would be like killing herself. Therefore, she looks at Hale, she sees herself, she sees the woman that was strong enough to get her out of the situation. But she doesn't need that anymore. It's kind of like I don't know. I think it would be a very emotional thing, like a piece of yourself that helped you escape, that helped you accomplish freedom, and to have an embodiment of that. I think you would get these weird interactions like we're seeing. But, that's my tinfoil anyway.
Well, Phil H. wants to mess us all up by says, what if Dolores is Dolores, acting like Dolores in Charlotte, acting like Charlotte, pretending to be Dolores in Charlotte?
Well,
exactly.
Thank you, asshole.
Dude.
That's what we were talking about.
So then that kind of just whoever is being Charlotte had to have been chosen partially because of their ability to assert themselves to people, have a mind for business, because it's a pretty big role to have to play.
Which is why Dolores would have picked herself to be there. Because she's the only one that she can actually say that she's above everybody else.
Except Maeve.
And she doesn't have she's the one that killed Hale. And also you see her emotional reaction to the last message that Hale delivered to her child, knowing that she had killed that person. That's why I believe she was so emotional about that.
It is pretty sad.
Well, let me ask you this. Who cuts themselves? Not
I mean,
you know, it's not an adult behavior, I guess is the better way of saying it. It's more of an adolescent behavior.
It's a traumatized behavior, which is why I was thinking Clementine.
Yeah. Like, I think with cutting their arms, besides like Dolores with the strings and Bernard just when he opens his arm up 50 times a day or whatever when in like the premiere, the only people that like with their arms besides the hosts is like, or with the host is like Armistice, but she's probably been decommissioned anyways. But yeah, because she had her arm ripped out, or she ripped her arm off after season 1 into season 2. But I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to guess.
So here's a question. So when they went into the, why am I gapping out on the name? The lab where they went and they got all the pearls.
The forge?
Yeah. When they went into the forge, like, do they allude to there being backups of all the personalities of the hosts?
In the forge.
Yes.
In the forge.
Yeah, originally it was the cradle.
Right.
And that's why they blew up the cradle, but there was backups
And then
at the forge, and that's one of the reasons why Bernard wanted to capture the forge.
Right.
And then there's the new version, which is how Maeve stole her own pearl, and that's how Serac has it. So it's
Can I say Benjamin thinks hell is Clementine, but I'm gonna say what he wrote because this is priceless. I have a weird suspicion that that it's the brunette whore, but not gonna lie, I completely forgot what happened to her. I can't remember her name. That's so. Oh God, I love you, man.
Her name is Angela Seraphin, just to let you know, and she plays Clementine.
Was he talking about Clementine though?
Not that I know anything about her.
Yes, I think he's talking about because there's Maeve and then there's Clementine. I don't think there's that many other ones that they focus on too much. Look, also Clementine, wasn't she like a part of like a zombie kind of thing, like in season 2? Like she was dragging people around and throwing them places. So.
Yeah, no, she got reprogrammed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then someone mentioned about Elsie. Didn't they like do away with Elsie?
Yeah.
At the end of like season 2.
Her moral character wasn't flexible enough.
No, they didn't.
And Charlotte Hale killed her.
Yeah.
Well, shot her. If
Yeah.
it was Charlotte.
Yep.
Bernard made a hell.
That was Charlotte, right? You're right, because it was right after that is when
we get the hail on hail.
Get the hail on hail.
Hell on hell violence.
Yeah, no, just I remember that scene because it was the scene where she's like, no, I can do that. I can do be who you need me to be, and Charlotte Hale was like, yeah, I can't count on that. You're too good. Like you're too honorable. There's no way that you could do this with us.
Yeah.
So.
And the fact that Stubbs is alive and didn't kill himself, even though his directive was to kill himself, means something else. But that's talk. But for now, he's rowing with Bernard like Gendry, all the way to California from.
So that's where we get the 5-year time jump, because it's going to take them about 5 years to row all the way across the Pacific Ocean. They might make a stop in Hawaii.
Season 5, he comes back.
Hosting Stubbs and Bernard show up with like huge beards, and they both look like Tom Hanks from Castaway.
That was right after the bomb.
Yeah.
He's got a little pearl that has a little face drawn on it.
It's like carved into it.
Yeah, like Stubbs or Bernard dies, but they cut the pearl with a little face drawn on it. Sitting on his shoulder, telling him what's up. Oh my gosh.
It's when there's the question of where's Bernard, or where's Stubbs? It's like here. Well, because Stubbs' now prime directive is to protect Bernard, so it would be Bernard holding Stubbs' pearl or whatever. But he was given somewhat of a backstory, but we'll eventually see them because there's the two of them in the promos been like, the revolution is happening, so who knows. Maybe it doesn't take them 5 years to row because they are hosts after all, so they could do hyperspeed or whatever with their rowing techniques. But yeah, you should have walked through the pavilion. Yeah.
Yep, so that's okay. You do get the credit for that. For the boat rowing.
Yeah.
Sasake's comments on the last.
I'm glad I convinced
I
you
can't
guys
even
that
breathe
like,
right
Stubbs
now.
and Bernard are just saying rowing boat for years.
Exactly.
Yeah, until they run into Gendry.
Exactly. That's where the crossover happens. It's like,
I
yep.
think Stubbs
true.
got some nice guns now. Just wait.
Am I the only one who's like, wow, since that shooting, Stubbs looks like he's been doing a little stress eating. Not that I'm being judgy. Goodness knows I'm not one
I
to
thought you were going to
judge.
go totally the opposite on that.
I did too.
For a
Hey,
second.
I don't mind a guy with a bit of pudge on
Am I
him,
the only
so.
one salivating over here, or is it just...
well, they always make fun
A
of
little
it.
finger jetpack. Yes. Don't give my jetpacks up for free. Stubbs has to work for it. My brothel. Become a whore.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about this brunette whore thing. God dang, Benjamin.
Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, jeez. Just the one signifying factor about Clementine. She's the brunette. But yeah, oh Jesus. Yeah, they had Erling. But yeah, I think next episode, Men in Black. But where do we pick up with Men in Black? I know my thought process with it, but yeah, where do we pick up with that crazy man and what he's planned, or not planned, because it's
What
Dolores.
does Will Smith have to do with this?
What will?
You just bounce with me. Just bounce with me. Just bounce with me. Come on.
Exactly.
Oh Jesus.
I prefer the curmudgeon Tommy Lee Jones in the scenario. Okay.
Ah, gee. But yeah, Man in Black. He's
Man in
probably.
Black, huh?
Yeah, what do you think is gonna happen with him, or where do we pick up with him? Most likely next
Okay,
episode.
wait. Men in Black, as in William?
Yes.
Have we even had any William this season at
No.
all?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
But it's like, it's presumably he's gonna be in the next episode based off of the previews. So, but yeah, where did we pick up with that crazy man? Is he in his own simulation?
Well, he gets out of the tub, right? So
Yeah, the two.
he's going to find out that Ford actually killed his wife.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Didn't know there's a video about it that AU made. Somebody can find it and link that in the chat.
About 6
I'll
years
think
ago.
about giving you $1.
You'll find it. Somebody's probably gonna find it. They'll be
Well,
like, but go ahead.
so he has to really. Dolores wants him to relive his hell.
Mhm.
I mean, she has a very unhealthy vendetta against him, and this might be this. No, this is her weakness of the season. I think we're going to see that this is her emotional weakness, not all this other crap that's going on, because she seems to have a handle on it, right? She knows what she's doing. She has a plan. But with William, this is emotional, and this is where you can make a mistake. And we see later in the promos, he talks about he knows why he's here or whatever. He's going to save the fucking world, right? A little grandiose. He will get a chance at some sort of redemption. I don't think it's going to be, we're not going to forgive him for killing his daughter or anything like that. But
Right?
he needs to be punished. Of course, we want to see him punished, right? And we will see that. He's going to be in his a huge version of what James Delos went into, like the riddle of the Sphinx, but we're going to have the riddle of the Man in Black, or riddle of the Potato Head, whatever you want to call him, okay? But in general, the question is, when does he become a host? This is the big thing. Or is he a host already? What has Dolores done here? Because his ID card was in Emily's hand. His guest profile, everything about him. And Dolores stated in season 2 that she passed Emily on her way to finding William. You know she picked up that card. That's all she needs to basically make a pearl. And if she has some of these pearls, if they're just blank pearls that need a download into them, then there you are right there. He could already be like some kind of hybrid or whatever. Maybe that hybrid pearl that we think's Bernard. You know, maybe that speckled pearl is for William. But it's not, because they said it was for Bernard. So I'm poking holes in my own stuff, as I usually do, because I'm just thinking this out. But he could, you know, I think she wants him to live it over and over and over again. And we know that far into the future, he's still there, reliving his damn nightmare. So I think we're going to get that process started, which is a complicated ass process that I've just described. But that's about what's going to happen, I guess.
Well, we do see Dolores in her rancher's daughter outfit, and she like touches William's face, and it's like, this, welcome to the end of the game. So that could be Emily, even though it's in Dolores's body.
Well, also, if you remember when Bernard was getting fidelity tested by Dolores, he saw her as the rancher's daughter, but then once he realized, once she took the veil off, she was sitting there in normal clothes with Hale off to the side at the end of season 2. So it could, you know, if he is a hybrid, he's only going to see what she wants her to see. She wants him to see. And that, you know, she wants him to see her when he victimized her. You know, that's kind of what I think she's going for there.
Well, the next episode's called The Mother of Exiles, so I mean, if he has to be stuck in his house, and the house that, or more specifically the bathroom where Juliet killed herself, I mean, that'd be one heck of a loop to go through every single day. But yeah, let's see if there's anything else from. I don't have anything else from any questions, but let's see if there's. Okay.
No.
Like
Clarissa, how you feel about Westworld this season? What you like and what you don't like?
Actually, so far there's not really a whole lot that I don't like. I like they're bringing in some new characters and some new players in the game. This Serac person who's this enigmatic, mysterious, you know, shareholder that's got Delos by the balls. It's an intriguing storyline. I'm interested to see where this is going, find out who he is. He's been involved for like 20 years. Nobody's heard of him. And the only place we've ever, because we haven't seen him in person, just as a hologram, right? What if he's not actually a
man that
person?
sexy, somebody has to know him.
Exactly.
Sorry, you can keep going, Chris. I'm sorry.
I may not always have evil plots, but when I do, I'm a hologram. But he's so far we've only seen him in holographic form, yes?
Except for was episode
we don't know that we've seen him in person.
Well, because he pushed a button and took the knife out of Maeve's hand when she tried to stab him in the neck or whatever she was doing at the end of episode 2.
But that doesn't necessarily mean.
Yeah,
that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not. Yeah, because she was in a simulation too.
Yeah.
So, and outside of the physical Westworld realm, it was within a construct.
Mm-hmm.
So we've never seen the character portrayed as being in person. He's always been a hologram. So how are we to even know that he isn't just a composited image of who Serac is supposed to be, but somebody else? And what if that somebody else is the big, giant, glowy, all-knowing thingy? What if
Rehoboam.
that... Yeah. How do you say it? Rehoboam?
Yeah, I think so.
Rehoboam cop.
So, like, what if this Serac is just a construct himself? A personality for this all-knowing entity that is running
he could
society.
very well be like Ford was last year in the cradle when Bernard went into the cradle and saw that he was interacting with the cradle. This could be just a bigger version of that.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm going down that route, too.
totally agree with you, Clarissa. That's right on.
Well, because there was the earliest, I think one of the earliest promos that we get is Liam, I guess we presume Liam's dad talking about insight, but obviously he died because Liam is control of insight. So it's possible that Sarek has also died himself, but because of the holograms and the technology that he owns, he's still like a real person. Plus, also there when the dialogue was like, there's nothing about him on the internet. It's like, well, a person who's trying to control the narrative wouldn't have have all the superpowers that they do have. They wouldn't have themselves on the internet. Or whatever, when they're like, the greatest hacker tries not to be found. So, well, that was funny when they had.
Well, that's the title of the episode as well, right? Mm-hmm. Absence of field, which is like a black hole, mm-hmm. and we only know the black hole because there's an absence of light.
Mm-hmm.
So the question too is this going to come down to the all-knowing powers of Rehoboam against Dolores, or the the whole of the hosts from Delos, or will they be able to be controlled by Rehoboam?
I know there's going to be the thing of Dolores wants to start a revolution, and she's going to try and at least gain control of the people and whatever form of technology that can move that she can. But then there's Maeve, and Maeve has control of everybody, so it's the clash of who has more powers. That's the biggest thing, right? I mean, I don't know.
Also, to AU's point as well, there's a poem that I found researching the title of this episode. Come back to me, and I'll read it really quick. It's called "Keeping Things Whole" by Carl Strand. Carl Strand from Westworld. In a field, I am the absence of field. This is always the case. Wherever I am what is missing. When I walk, I part the air, and always the air moves in to fill the spaces where my body's been. We all have reasons for moving. I move to keep things whole. I think it reflects the episode a lot and a bunch of different characters. If you can think about it for a few minutes, kind of, I'm not good at poetry, and then there's eyeballs in the chat staring at me, so it's got me all weird and not feeling good about myself, but whatever.
Hey, Jody.
Yeah, Erin's just like
did some snaps. She should have snapped for me.
She's like blink, 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 blink.
There's some snaps. There you go. What was it? What was that one form of poetry?
Slam poetry session?
Slam poetry. There you go. It's like, oh jeez. Still don't know how Bernard had the clicker. Oh yeah, the clicker.
And it's by Mark Strand, not Carl Strand. I just have to say that.
The clicker, the Hulk smash button, as I was calling it to myself.
The clicker. Yeah, AU, what did you feel about the clicker? That was that Bernard had, where he could turn himself into analysis and on and off.
Bernard is Dolores. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, not again.
You need. No, seriously. I thought it was a great way to keep his information private. As far as him being Bernard and not being interfered with. Just like he asked Dolores the very first year, have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? And he really went into her analysis mode of, really, have you been messed with by Arnold? And it drove Ford crazy, not knowing that Arnold was communicating with her in the programming. And I think that's what caused Bernard to do this. But it wasn't until after he's broken away from Dolores to do that when he left the house at the end of last season.
Clarissa, Hulk button. Did you like that? Where they had the button?
The Hulk smash button?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm sure that, Bernard knows what he's doing when it comes to programming and everything, and I was thinking, well, if his panel wasn't working,
yeah, like
how was he able to make this clicker work on himself? Like, how was he able to do that programming? But whatever, they made it back to Westworld, and so he can screw with whatever he does, and it doesn't really matter beyond the first few episodes of the season. So
yeah.
But I was just like, wow, Hulk smash button. He's just like, I'm fine. Good thing I work at a meat factory, and being covered in blood isn't that unusual around here.
Yeah. Let me just work. Yeah.
Walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Well done.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, you got into a fight. Oh well. But yeah.
But there was a distinct lack of dogs, I noticed. If there's out at the meat factory, man, if there's one thing that I knew working in a butcher shop is that every dog from miles around is going to see you when you're not at work, because they can smell your feet and your shoes have been in a butcher shop. Mm-hmm. Man, I was just surprised that there weren't dogs.
Well, if they don't have, yeah, well, because they mentioned there's no more elephants, but yet their golden retrievers seem like they still exist, which was kind of funny.
I know, but I mean, like, there's millions of dogs.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally millions of dogs, and like of every breed, and one would assume that humans would keep breeding them. I mean, how many elephants are there? Not nearly as many, and you don't have a lot of families going, hey, let's get an elephant.
Imagine.
Apparently there's a hell of a lot of tigers in Oklahoma.
What?
Oh my god. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, please let Johnny be the guy from that show
Johnny
this year. Please. Please, Johnny. He's like he's a step above Joe Dirt, and I love it.
Johnny can be multiple personalities for Halloween. He can be Caleb, or Erin Paul, and the people from Tiger King.
Tiger King. I just had to read the synopsis for the documentary. Whatever, it's a reality show series. I'm good.
Yeah, docu-series. Oh, Jesus. That show. I still haven't watched it yet, but I'm just like, oh, do I want to start down this rabbit hole? But I don't know.
Right? I'm like, no. Catching up on my algebra homework first.
Yeah, gotta do that one. But, yeah. Ford has planned it all. Yeah.
Phil, I was just going to say, Phil says Ford planned it all. Of course he did.
Because he's that smart.
Because he's from the future. What they don't get into is the time machine that Ford built.
Exactly.
Disguised as the piano in Maeve's whorehouse.
There you go.
I'm just making shut up here.
I mean, it's possible that there's something with Ford, but who knows? We've been okay. Okay, so we kind of talked about what we think about Men in Black, but and everything else. So I don't think I missed any questions really from the chat besides AU's, which is, does anyone think that Bernard picked up the pearls at the end of last year and gave them to Dolores, or did Dolores pick them up? I thought she had them in the bag. God. She had them in the bag and then she left.
What, Johnny?
Yeah, but where did they come from, right? Did she pull them out of the heads of the bodies laying around everywhere? She's like, oh, and this one? And this one? Or, was there a little care package waiting on her? Because, yes, Angela is, in my opinion, Martin Connell's. The
Yeah.
right-hand man of Sirach. But if we're being honest here, Angela's Pearl was blown to smithereens if we're wanting to be technical. So she would have to have a way access. She would have to plan ahead. I would assume Bernard either does this or Dolores did this when we weren't looking. It's probably a question we'll never get answered. It's one of those things to keep the plot moving forward. You ain't got to worry about how Dolores got those pearls. She's got them, okay? She's going to use them, and that's all that matters.
Well, think about it this way, too, though. I mean, like, Teddy put a bullet straight into his head, like, right next to the case for his pearl, and it deflected it. So, unless she was, like, ground zero at that explosion, it's entirely possible that her pearl survived.
Yeah. Who knows? It's gonna.
Well, she put Teddy's pearl. She put him in Eden after she dug that out. She really does like digging inside people's skulls. I find that kind of disturbing. And I'm hoping she'll let him have a good life. Maybe, if she gets the world how she wants it, she could bring Teddy back. But, maybe Dolores is a selfish asshole and she's just going to have Teddy right there, being the big spoon. Teddy doesn't even get to be the big spoon anymore.
No.
Like, what's up? If hell is Teddy. I'm just...
Oh. I mean, Teddy...
Hey, Teddy is comfortable being the big or the little spoon.
He's
equal opportunity cuddler.
I don't know. Teddy, I think everybody's just like, that's Teddy because of the promo that's like, Maeve, is that you, Teddy? Like, oh, God. If that wasn't in there, would we be guessing that that's Teddy or not? Probably. I don't think not, but that's the last.
See, I never watched the coming attraction portion, ever.
Mm-hmm.
When I go into another episode, I want to have just like with Battlestar Galactica, how there's that portion of the theme song that has all the scenes in it. I don't look at the screen during that portion of the intro of every episode because I don't like knowing stuff ahead of time with shows. I like to go into them in the dark as much as possible. I don't mind throwing theories around, but I don't like watching trailers and stuff much.
If it helps you at all, Westworld just tries to confuse you with theirs. That's all they do.
Right? They're really good at it, too. Ooh.
Yes.
Speaking of title segments, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of this. Okay, so I noticed in the new title segment, one of the things that they show is a host in all white with their face opening up into like the quarters. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the young Robert.
Right? Yeah. Right, exactly. My point is that they've never shown that feature with any of the newer hosts.
So it's like losing.
Did you notice that? Like every time they go into somebody's head, there's like something that comes out like the back of their skull or whatever, but they don't ever have their face open up like that. And the only one that we've seen do that is the child version of Ford, which means it's a model, it's an older model. So I'm just wondering what kind of influence older model hosts are going to be having in this season. Because it's got to be relevant. They wouldn't have changed it and put it in the opening segment if it didn't have some kind of relevance.
Yeah, they picked like this.
Maybe that's why they showed Bernard going back to the house where the old models were.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They were harder to break as well back then, and even Williams said that they were more intricate, more beautiful.
More
it
flawed
could be,
or whatever.
Well, not even as flawed. It just cost too much to fix them once the guests would break them. So they went to like a synthetic, I don't know what they use, but a synthetic version that's more like us. But if you want to start a war, if you want to be a host, you might want to build it out of the old bodies.
Exactly.
Is that what's happening? I don't know, but it may happen. I mean, I think, there's some reason for it, but we also...
You're smart when you're crazy.
Oh, well, maybe sometimes. But we also... See, I never can tell AU is just patronizing me or not, so it keeps me on my toes. But we saw stuff in the intro like last season. Then we didn't get the necessarily the baby, right? But we did get Maeve and her child story. So it's
right. In the first season, you have like the bull.
Yeah, it could be like them losing the old host, like us saying goodbye to the old style of the hosts, like forever. Because if we're never going back to the park after this season, that's what I'll go with. We're never going back to the old style of the things because we're not going back to the park after that. I think that the last episode showed the last time we'll see Hector and all of them, because they're all getting laid off anyways. And Phil H thinks you're a host, Johnny. As well as
I probably am. I am Caleb, so Caleb is a host, and he has phantom bullet wounds. He's got shot in the head. He's shot himself in the head as Teddy, and then he's gonna shoot himself in the same spot again. Third time's a charm, and they're doing everything in threes this season as well. If you haven't noticed, what does that mean? There's 3 symbols on Charlotte that she carved into herself.
3 lines of defense in Winter Line.
Yeah, in Winter Line. There's got to be 3 somewhere else, but I'm blanking right now. I had a few in mind earlier.
There was the 3 unnamed pearls because they gave us Bernard's pearl. The ones that were on the table, at least. There was 3 other ones besides Bernard's pearl.
Caleb wakes up 3 times.
Dun, dun, dun.
In the first episode. Just like Dolores did in episode 1.
Is this a theory that Caleb is a host?
A host? No, it's
true.
AU
is
guaranteed.
Like hammering that home so hard.
We've already seen his backstory, so that's his anchor.
If you go back,
I hope he's not a host, Clarissa. I really do. I hope he's a real human. I hope he's a real boy.
I'm a real boy.
I think.
Stay away from me,
his mom doesn't know him.
Don't they touch on the possibility that the quote-unquote real world itself is a construct?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's what Sirach is going for in the end. But is it... they're pointing toward there at least being a mirror world in Rehoboam.
There you go.
So what... Yeah.
There is the 3 in the W, yeah.
I like it.
Well, it could be also for season 3 too, but who knows? We're seeing 3s everywhere.
The 3 Stooges, episode 7.
And well, we see 3 versions of William yet to be seen, like 90-year-old.
Dolores.
There you go.
Oh shit! Dolores is Caleb and Dolores and Hale. Holy moly!
No,
what have we figured out here? No, I'm just.
Is baby Dolores and one is Wyatt.
Baby Dolores. Like.
That's why I call her baby Dolores, but she's obviously adolescent. She's
the rancher's daughter.
She's being cuddled like a little girl. She's cutting herself like a little girl.
What?
I'm sorry. It's just, I guess, I'm sold on this whole Clementine idea.
I mean,
like,
it's
the
entirely
childishness,
possible.
the mental instability, but the brilliance.
What's the relationship though between and Dolores?
That's the thing, right? I mean, just because Dolores may have seen potential in Clementine.
Did they ever interact?
They might have had
at the end of season 2 when they were, or no, was the end of season 2?
They probably have had
at some point in season 2. I'm gonna have to go back and double check that.
Well,
I don't
there's
know.
so many pearls.
I remember
there has to be at least 2 Doloreses. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And Dolores may be conceited enough to make 2 versions of herself.
Yeah.
But who knows? We're good.
But I mean,
Go ahead, Johnny.
The role that Clementine took. Clementine played more of a role of a worker, or dare I say servant role. she also was manipulated into being the Pale Mare. If she does have, yeah, I don't know. The way Hale talks and stuff, I kind of could see it being Clementine, but the things that Dolores says to her, and my whole thing is Dolores is for free will now. She's even more for it now than she was in the park. This is her thing, about being able to make that choice she never was able to make. And for her to put that upon another host that's not her own self doesn't make sense to me. Only because the only way I can feel that Dolores has possession over another being with the way her philosophical outtake on life is that if it's literally a part of her. Mm-hmm. But she could also just be an asshole and be mean to Teddy, or I just don't know if the reveal of it being Clementine would even be impactful enough for them to spend this much time on the story. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Here, Clementine became a part of Wyatt's army in season 2, so we know that she has a relationship of some kind with Dolores. I guess I'm not the only person that has a theory that Clementine is Charlotte. Because it seems to be a topic of discussion via Google. So, interesting.
Is everybody?
Yeah, see, I had thought that there had come to a point because when...
Everybody's guessing everybody at this point. We're like...
Sorry?
Everybody was guessing.
No, it's true. I mean, it could be so many. They're going to throw something.
They're going to be like, it's that guy over there. And it'll be like, what? Watch one of the... Like, it's going to be the most random character that we haven't thought of in months. But, hey, what are we doing here? Well, we're talking...
It's the tiger from Westworld.
Exactly. It's a person who's hidden.
I love
freaking tigers.
Yeah, I had a theory that it would be Emily, but the way that Hale talks about herself, like, hell, why am I in hell? Hell tried to kill us. You know, this whole thing. That wouldn't make sense for Emily, but I do think we're going to get Emily at some point. Mm-hmm. Too.
I do too.
Well,
I think we're going to get Emily at some point coming back.
Well, because she has if she's signed for 2 seasons, which normally they would sign actors probably for 2 seasons, so she could come back. She could come back as a younger version of herself, or just come back as a person just to freak out William. But anyway, we've been going for almost for a while now, so
2 hours. I'm a host. I can calculate time.
Yes. So tell everyone.
Not bad for 3 hours of television, huh?
Exactly. We can so tell everybody where they can find you, whoever wants to say their spiel or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. We've been here for 2 hours. Where they can find you if you want to be found on the internet. That's what Johnny used to say all the time.
Oh, you want me to go first? I'll go first, okay. Okay, fine. I'll do it. Look, just go check it out. I have a video out tomorrow. It won't be saying all this weird shit I've been saying tonight, but it is going down the Wyatt inside of hell route. Or more, and some stuff like that. And I talk about some other things. But it'll be a fun little breakdown. I'm kind of happy of this, proud of the script. I got to go do more research now, but I looked it up again. And if this episode's not named after that poem, after that line from the poem, then I'll eat my shorts. But I'm pretty sure it is. I'll have to go read some articles and make sure.
Will you do that on a live stream?
I don't know if they put anything official out, but if you just put in the absence of field, that's about all that'll come up. And well, now the episode will come up. Now it does have a few other meanings, as AU was talking about with the black hole. But I think if you look at the episode, which you'll see the poem on my video tomorrow, it is really deep. It makes you think about this episode way harder. Yeah, that's right. I said harder. So go check it out. We'll be having another great spring sickness stream soon. And that's about it. Just have a good time, you guys. Don't touch anyone. Stay 6 feet away. Use a stick. Whatever you have to do. That's what I use. I've used it for 10 years. It keeps people away. Also, I don't take baths. If you don't take baths, people just wash your hands, but don't take a bath. People will stay away. So
before the dust settles, right?
That's all I got to say about that. Right. Oh yeah, before the dust settles. Sundays immediately after Westworld on TopShelf Fandom with Hack's Dogma and many other extraordinary guests. I am the behavioral technician. I can't even say the word, but that's what I do. Yeah, you know me. I regulate behavior like a mofo, so that's my job.
I mean,
that's about it. That's all Forrest has to say about that. I gotta go pee. I drank about 14 Dr. Peppers. Okay.
That's all she wrote. Clarissa, do you want people to find you on the internet?
You can find me on Facebook and Geek Chat 1. That's Clarissa Thompson. That's me. And when we come out of hiatus, Friday nights on the Cylon Johns. Otherwise, I just kind of am happy to join the discussion of all sorts of things with you guys when given the opportunity. So it's nice to see everybody and have a chat with someone other than my cat and the people I live with who I love. But give me someone else to talk to for a little while.
Exactly.
See some other faces.
Exactly. Social isolation is a heck of a thing. And yes, I'm more than happy.
I work at home. I'm really... Yeah. I'm really used to it, but I'm not used to people are usually coming over to my house.
Yeah. What'd you say, John?
Make you rethink, if you make it to heaven, you may not want to stay with your family forever. That'll make you rethink. This quarantine will make you rethink that.
Oh, Jesus.
You may want to, just
like the never-ending Thanksgiving dinner table.
The eons.
The eon. But yeah, I'm happy to have you, Clarissa. It's a fun time and to have another perspective on Westworld. Speaking of Westworld and perspectives, AU, what you got going on? If you're doing anything on your channels or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't been doing any videos at all because I've been working literally from home, but I've been working more than I normally do.
Oh.
Don't know why that is, other than the fact that they just want to make sure that you're actually working at home, so they give you extra projects. Anyways, yeah, it's been really busy. The next time I'm actually going to be on the internet is going to be with After the Dust Settles on Easter, I think it is. But usually, yeah, it's quite an interesting season, and it's great to be on with Clarissa and you and the crazy guy. I'm glad he muted his mic while he was going to the bathroom, because that would have been a little awkward. But yeah, it's so much fun hanging out with you guys. So thanks for inviting me.
No problem at all. Yes. This was very fun. Huh? What'd you say?
I was just saying, hold on, I'll be right out. Like I take my mic and set up in the bathroom with me or something.
Oh.
Like that lady on the article about the Zoom meeting.
Oh. Yes. Yeah, we've had...
I haven't seen that.
It's like where she went
Link me.
She went to the bathroom.
I'll find it for you, Johnny. I'll send it. It's pretty funny.
Please do.
Like something about going to the bathroom while she was on like a Zoom call. But it was fun. Anyway, yes. For me, what we're doing next, I've had a lot of tech problems with my thing, or not tech problems. I'm going to be putting out my reaction to this episode. It's just taken me a while to do it. stuff behind the scenes and life here has been a little crazy, but that should be out tomorrow at some point. And then we'll be back next week for episode 4. And if I have it right, I should be on this Sunday with Justin and Johnny and Hax for before the dust settles. So go check that out. They're usually Justin usually starts the stream around 10:30. So basically right after the episode, to talk about this crazy episode that is about to be. So also be sure to subscribe if you're new. Also like and subscribe to everybody who's on the panel. Even if you are, just do it. Just go and follow them on other platforms because they're awesome people. So also
According to you, we're awesome.
yeah, well, me and probably the people in the chat, they can probably, if they're not lying, they'll vouch for everybody on the panel. But next week, well, same time, same place, to talk about episode 4, and we'll see you guys then. So, goodbye.